Earlier today, the president visited a hospital in East Jerusalem and then the occupied West Bank, where he held talks with the Palestinian president. President Biden is hoping to rebuild U.S. ties with the Palestinians after relations hit rock bottom under the Trump administration. But a U.S. offer of financial assistance and a pledge to modernize wireless access is unlikely to satisfy the Palestinians who've been living under Israeli occupation for decades. The president said his administration would not give up on the peace process.
The Palestinian people deserve a state of their own that's independent, sovereign, viable, and contiguous. 2 states for 2 people, both of whom have deep and ancient roots in this land, living side by side in peace and security. The Palestinian people are hurting now. You can just feel it. Your grief and frustration. In the United States, we can feel it. But we've never give up on the work of peace. You know, there must be a political horizon that the Palestinian people can actually see, or at least feel. We cannot allow the hopelessness to steal away the future.
NBC News White House correspondent Carol Lee joins us now from Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, which is where the president is heading next. Carol, before we get to that part of the trip, let's talk about his meeting with the Palestinian leader earlier this morning. We saw that Israeli rights group put up billboards in the occupied West Bank saying, quote, "Mr. President, this is apartheid." Now, is the president pledging anything beyond financial assistance that addresses Palestinian rights or statehood?
Well, this was a dramatically different type of meeting than you saw the president have with the Israeli leaders. It's much more tense. As you noted, that billboard, the ones that we saw in Jerusalem were welcoming President Biden to Jerusalem, so a very different tone. And as you mentioned, the president tried to make some offerings to the Palestinians, that $100 million for a hospital network that serves Palestinians in East Jerusalem, and another $200 million in humanitarian aid. But the big ticket items, the things that Palestinians really want, went unaddressed. The consulate that the U.S. had that closed under the Trump administration that served Palestinians in East Jerusalem, they wanted that reopened. There's no headway there. And then the peace talks, you heard it from the president that he's not going to restart peace talks at this time, that he doesn't feel that it's the right moment, even though he still supports a 2-state solution. And then there's the issue of Shireen Abu Akleh, where the president tried to address this, but the Palestinians are very upset that they feel that there's not enough accountability for her death. She was a journalist who was shot while doing her job, and the U.S. says that while it looks like Israeli forces were responsible for that, the bullet was too damaged for anything to be conclusive. So you heard the boss there, the president of Palestinian Authority, say he wants more accountability. President Biden made no commitments there. So a lot of issues and very little progress, Joe.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.